Good evening, everybody. Welcome and thank you for your presence. But as you're aware, I'm sure by now, at the start of the meeting, I have to remind everyone present that the hybrid meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded via the internet, and there's recording archived for future viewing. If a participant wishes to speak, can they please raise their hand in person if sat in the chamber? Use the remote raise hand function located in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. This will put you in the speaker queue accordingly. When subsequently invited to address by myself, please then press your activation button in the bottom centre of your screen. Please be patient and aware that there will be a small time lag and that you do not need to press the button again. The response of the system is not instant. If the button or desk microphone changes to red, then it has responded. If a participant raises their hand via the remote function and is not subsequently invited to address by myself, please could they turn their camera on to indicate or place the message in the chat function. When invited to address by myself, please could all participants ensure that the microphone and camera is on to ensure that they can be seen and heard when actively participating. If this is not possible for any reason, please bring this to the attention of myself and/or Amy, the Democratic Service Officer, as soon as possible. Once you have participated, please remember to turn your activation button off as not to delay other participants from coming onto screen and to avoid any background noise or feedback when other participants are speaking. Please ensure that all debate is raised verbally and not via the chat function for the sake of the recording. The chat function may be used to highlight any technical issues and/or to grab the attention of myself or the Democratic Service Officer. If any participant has difficulty hearing or being heard when they are addressing the committee, then they should let myself or Democratic Service Officer Amy know. If a remote committee member has a prejudicial interest and is therefore required to withdraw from the meeting, the Democratic Service Officer will place the participant in the virtual waiting room until such time that the interested item has concluded. Please do not close your browser window whilst in the waiting room, as a Democratic Service Officer will bring you back into the meeting automatically when appropriate. For members attending the meeting in person, they will be asked to leave the chamber for the duration of the interested item and will be invited back into the room as appropriate. If an electronic vote is called during the course of the meeting, then advice on how to participate will be given accordingly to committee members with voting rights at the time. Thank you, everybody, which takes us straight into Tuesday the 5th of March at 5 p.m, hybrid meeting, healthy living and social care. And our first item is agenda item 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any?
None to myself, Chair, but we have had a message from your Cabinet member, Councillor John, who will be joining us shortly, but he apologises for his lateness.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor John, for letting us know. Agenda item 2 are the minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of February 2024. Does anybody have anything they wish to bring up on this?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Christine Cave.
Yes, Chair. I'm particularly keen to get these minutes right. I do understand that the minutes are not a verbatim account of what took place, but there has been some interest in our previous meeting. In fact, I think we were quoted at least 6 times by our media news outlets, which is quite an achievement, I think you'll think, Chair. So it's important that we get this page 7 in particular right. And there were 3 points that I was trying to make. I think we've captured 2 of them. One of them was around the settlement for Welsh Government, which we discussed at length. The other one was around the term demand management, which I think was captured. But I was also asking to have an understanding of how we intended in these difficult times to innovate. And I've gone back through the recording today and I can see it was clearly stated there. So I think that point is very important in these minutes, particularly as I've had to take that debate to Debbie Miles, our monitoring officer, for some scrutiny, because there was 2 occasions in that meeting where the leader of the council, Councillor Liz Burnett, accused me of being inflammatory. Now, the monitoring officers come back yesterday to me and informed me that although these comments were raised in the public media, it isn't for us as a council to make a decision as to whether my comments were inflammatory or not. And actually, there was enough of the debate captured on the media for the members of the general public to be able to discern whether my comments were inflammatory or not. I don't think that's particularly satisfactory, because I think it's for us as a committee to decide whether my comments, and certainly our monitoring officer, decide whether she discerned my comments to be inflammatory. She tells me they're a matter of personal opinion. My personal opinion is that we're a scrutiny committee and we come here to scrutinise, and therefore we're not a fan club. We have to bring scrutiny and we have to give oversight. And I think that's what I was doing. I don't believe I was doing that in an inflammatory way. And I'd like members of the committee to note that I do not believe my comments were inflammatory. And I do indeed hope that members of the public that did go to ours online or did go to the Penarth Daily News or any of those other media outlets that captured those comments, that they will also consider that my comments were not inflammatory.
Thank you, Councillor Cave. So what is the amendment you would like to make to the minutes?
I'd particularly like the amendment in terms of the comments that I was making, and 2 of them have been captured, but the 3rd one, that was my call for innovation and to have an understanding as how we were innovating as a committee and as a directorate, that hasn't been captured.
So with your permission, Chair, we can obviously agree the minutes this evening, subject to it being noted that Councillor Cave made a 3rd comment on the intention to innovate. Would that be satisfactory?
To gain an understanding of how we were innovating and how we, as a directorate, were proposing to innovate going forward, given the particularly difficult times that we face financially.
I do agree with that, Amy.
Okay, Chair, so you're happy to move. Is somebody happy to second?
Councillor Fisher.
I'll second, Chair.
Seconded by Councillor Cave. And Steve Fisher, yeah.
Councillor Fisher.
Yeah. Thank you. Are you happy then to move the rest of the minutes on block?
Happy to move.
A second. Thank you, Neil. Moving on to agenda item 3, which is to declare declarations of interest and the nature of such interests, including whipping declarations under the Council's Code of Conduct. Do we have any? I can't see any hands, so I take that we don't. Thank you. Which moves us on to agenda item 4, which is going to be verbal. It's about the Leisure Centre Working Group visit to Penarth Leisure Centre on the 19th of February. I'd like to thank Caris and Neil for accompanying me, and Gwyn John and Councillor Dave Nevitt, who organised it. It was amazing meeting the people that actually take place during some of the lessons that were going on there. The feedback we had from them was amazing to hear the benefits and how satisfied they actually were at the sessions that they were going to. And not only that, but when the sessions that they paid to go to finish, how it carries on and how they've also become a group that will go out and celebrate birthdays and Christmases together. So the social benefits and the health benefits were just extraordinary. And so I'd like to propose a thank you to officers for organising the meeting. And I'd like to ask Caris O'Neill if they'd like to comment on some of the things that they picked up on our visit. Did you want to come in, Caris? I'll bring Neil. Oh, yeah, Caris. Thank you, Caris. Can't hear you, Caris.
You can now, I think. Yeah?
Yes, thank you.
Great. I really enjoyed the visit, to be honest, and I think it was well worthwhile, and it's certainly a really good use of our money to subsidise the exercise classes, because it was obvious that everyone involved was really getting so much out of it. So, yeah, particularly enjoyed that.
Thank you, Caris. Neil?
Yeah, I can endorse what both yourself, Chair, and Caris said. The opportunity to talk to the service users down there and the mental well-being that they all told us about makes the whole thing very gratifying, very worthwhile. And I mean, yeah, I mean, a vote of thanks both to Dave for his for setting up the visit and to the team down there for the great work they're doing, the popularity, the regard that the people have for the leaders, the people who are leading the exercises and so on, was palpable. Thank you.
Did you want to come in, Dave? Were you?
If I could just thank those members that were able to attend, that was wonderful. I think you covered the points that if I was required to raise, I was going to. I think you saw the variety of sort of conditions that were being treated on the National Exercise Referral Scheme, the benefits it was bringing to individual, the keenness of everyone to tell us their ages, as well as what physical improvements it had been made since they've been attending the leisure centre. And if I say most of them were in their 80s, it was quite an eye-opener even for myself to see how pleased individual customers were with the service. And I think, again, it just illustrates the difference we can make and why we probably come together as a scrutiny committee in terms of benefiting health, in terms of hopefully taking some of the burdens away from social services, and certainly in terms of the additional benefits that you kindly mentioned in terms of social inclusion, just having friends, just having somebody to talk to in a different environment, whilst also doing yourselves, the world of good. And, we're grateful for the partnerships we have with GPs. The scheme operates across all of our leisure centres, as you're aware, not just in Penarth, but the opportunity was there to visit Penarth. And we are hoping to bring a report with some sort of videos of some people and their feedback on the scheme to scrutiny in the not too distant future.
Thank you. It would be good for other members of the committee to be able to witness the good work that's going on. And also, I was very pleased, and I'm sure the others were as well, with the work that's going on repairing the roof and the other repairs. Thank you, Dave. Councillor Marianne Cope.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to say that I've been a recipient of this National Exercise Referral Programme. Totally agree with what you said. And I just want to say that all the staff there are an absolute credit to the Vale of Glamorgan. They're wonderful. I was at the gym the other day and just talking to someone, not on the referral programme, but in the main gym. And he said that he'd started on the referral programme and he again was singing the praises of the staff. So I can't praise them highly enough. And the whole service, it's marvellous.
Thank you, Marianne. Yeah, that was our feeling after our meeting with people that were taking part. Thank you. Anybody else? No. Thank you. Moving on to... yeah. So I thought I had, I'm sorry. I'd like to move thanks for the officers for organising the meeting.
I second that.
Thank you.
And add thanks to the staff at staff at the Leisure Centre and praise to them for what they're doing.
Yeah, second that. Thank you, Neil. Right, we are now moving on to agenda item 5, which is the report to the Director of Social Services. First one is the Q3 revenue monitoring 23 to 24. Gemma Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Can you share my slides, please? Thank you very much. So I do apologise. This report was published to members for Scrutiny Committee slightly ahead of the Cabinet report. And so there are some discrepancies between this report and the overarching Cabinet report, mainly in respect of the projected overspend in respect of potholes and the impact on then the drawdown from reserves overall. And there are some other smaller QA type issues that were picked up in the report, but that's the main difference between the report that was circulated to members and the report that went to Cabinet. In terms of the Q3 position, I think a lot of the themes in terms of overspend are themes that we've seen throughout the financial year. So sustained and continued pressures within the social care sector, and obviously I'll come on to those in slightly more detail on the next few slides. We're also seeing ongoing pressures in respect of road maintenance and school transport, and these have been persistent in 22-23 and 23-24. Now, some of these pressures are being proposed to be addressed as part of the 24-25 budget proposals that will be brought to Council tomorrow evening. We do also have some pressure that's being reported in respect of unrealised savings and income across services, although in the main, shortfall against savings is being mitigated. The overall position reflects unplanned use of reserves of 6.9 million plus a further 6.7 million of school balances, so a significant impact on reserves. And that takes school balances down to zero, and actually we have a net deficit position against schools that would be offset against the Council's general fund at year end. This report also sets out a number of environments that are being requested, and there is some reallocation of budgets within directorates, and that includes a reallocation that we're requesting within social services. But in the main, the movement is reflecting reallocation of the additional provision for energy costs in year across services to reflect the usage required for council buildings. So this slide just summarises that overall position. Apologies, the numbers are probably quite small. Obviously, as you can see, there are significant drawdown on social services reserves of just short of, well, just over 9 million. We have some mitigation of those overspends from underspends against policy and a small underspend against corporate resources in year. So drawing out some of those specific pressures that are relevant to the Scrutiny Committee, I think in terms of the social services position, overall it's broadly in line with, apologies, I've got an X on that slide, which isn't particularly helpful, broadly in line with the overspend position that we're reporting in Q2 monitoring. I suppose the difference we're seeing is there's a slight reduction in the adult services overspend and a slight increase in the children's services overspend. But overall, it's broadly in line with Q2. So we have a planned drawdown from reserves in 23-24 of just short of 4 million, and then a further 5 million required to offset the additional adverse variance. So that's the unplanned use of reserves. That would leave the social services reserve with a balance of just short of £1 million at year end. We are proposing to allocate a further 3 million into the social services reserve at year end, which would lead us in a slightly better position to manage some of the volatility in the service in 24-25, in addition to the cost pressures that are proposed as part of the budget proposals. Some of the key pressures that are outlined in the appendix. So we have rising costs associated with placements for children and young people, and that's in part due to the increasing complexity of some of those arrangements. Additional legal costs, again associated with the increased complexity of care proceedings. Increase in care hours, and there's some more detail in terms of those, the increase in care hours that's detailed in the appendix. And also, I think we picked up last time that we can sometimes see a peak in the cost of placements in the autumn and potentially then see some reduction in the cost of adult care then as we progress through the year. And I think that's in a small way what we're reporting as part of this position. In terms of leisure, we are expecting some energy pressures that are being reported by Parkwood. We are still in negotiation with Parkwood, so that position will be finalised as part of the outturn position. There was 200,000 provision made as part of the 23-24 budget, and we have vied an extra 200,000 to this budget area as well for provision. But as I say, we still have ongoing negotiations with Parkwood to finalise those payments, and that would be based on the kind of arrangement set out in the contract. So it's very much an open book arrangement in terms of agreeing those contract payments. In terms of efficiencies, in terms of social services, we have 3 efficiencies that we are reporting on for 23-24. I do apologise. The appendix also shows 24-25 savings. Now, obviously, those 24-25 savings were set as part of the 23-24 budget, but they've been superseded by the proposals that will be coming before members in council tomorrow. So they're very much a historic document rather than reflecting the budget proposals that will be coming to before you tomorrow. So I think we have got some delay in terms of the residential care saving for children and young people services, just in terms of the timing of when those residential placements can be moved. But the other savings are on track to be achieved in year. And yep, so hopefully that's a relatively positive position. And then this final slide shows that planned drawdown from reserves across the council, and that planned transfer into the social services reserve is reflected on this slide, but it's amalgamated within that service reserves line. Okay, so those are the main points I was going to draw out on the report, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, Neil has a comment.
Yeah, just a comment. Thank you for the report we've just had, and I welcome the 3 million that's going to come back into the reserves. I was concerned that we were getting near the knuckle with our reserves, and given the nature of this directorate, we can't predict with any accuracy any future demand that may arise, but we need that cushion there, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, thank you, Gemma, for that report. I don't see any more hands up, so I shall move to the recommendation, which is 1, that the position with regard to the authority's 23-24 revenue budget be noted.
With that.
Thank you. I'll second. And the second recommendation is that committee note the budget vehemence for 23-24 presented in the report.
Move that.
Second, thank you. Which moves us nicely on to agenda item 6, the capital monitoring for the period of the 1st of April to the 31st of December 2023. Gemma again, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so capital position to Q3. So we do have some slippage reported as part of this report. So in terms of our forecast outturn, it's just short of 97 million. Spend to the end of December was 48 million. So still significant spend to hit the ledger, but obviously we will have accruals at year end as well, which will also be reflected in the outturn position. So in terms of the report, it is a little bit confusing. So we do have kind of summary paragraphs at the start of the report that are tailored to the specific scrutiny committee, and then the rest of the report is the standard report that would have been taken to cabinet. So So I have included some paragraph numbers on this slide just to try and make things a little clearer. So in terms of removals from the programme, additions, environment and reprofiling within the remit of the Scrutiny Committee, we have 2 requests under the capital programme review section of the report, and that's to remove 2 budgets for, within social services. So one of those is social services asset renewal, and one is residual schemes, and those requests are summarised in paragraph 2.3 but detailed in paragraphs 2.16 to 2.19. There's also a request under the additions, environment and reprofiling section, and this is to include a new scheme for fire alarm improvements at Rondell House. So that's summarised in paragraph 2.4 and detailed in paragraph 2.24. In terms of slippage requests, there are 3 requests under the social services slippage section of the report. So one relates to the electrical upgrade works being undertaken at the Flying Start Family Centre, also for drainage repairs and underpinning at Carteret Pulskerry, and the third is in relation to the overarching social services investor save scheme, and that's summarised at paragraph 2.5, but it's detailed in paragraph 2.38 to 2.40. There are 3 slippage requests under Environment and Housing that are relevant to the leisure part of the Scrutiny Committee. So the first and the second relate to schemes at Lantwick Major Leisure Centre for improvements to the toilets and changing rooms and the air handling unit. And then the third request relates to the high-level glazing scheme being undertaken at Penarth Leisure Centre. So summarised at paragraph 2.6 and detailed in paragraph 2.49 to 2.51. And then the final slippage request is under the pipeline section of the report. So this relates to schemes that have not yet been subject to full business case approval, but are included in the capital programme for completeness and allocation of funds. And that relates to a scheme in relation to changing rooms, ancillary facilities and replacement boxing club at the Buttrell's playing field. And that's summarised at paragraph 2.7 and detailed in paragraph 2.61. And one final change relates to a delegated authority request. And this is to increase the existing scheme in relation to works to replace the tennis court fencing and posts under the Grain Community Hub scheme. And that's funded by Section 106 money. And that's summarised at paragraph 2.8 and detailed in paragraph 2.63. So those are the main points I was going to draw out on this report, but I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Well, the reason for the recommendations that we got coming forward are to advise the committee of the progress of the capital programme and the use of delegated authority and the use of emergency powers and changes to the capital programme. Does anybody have any questions on these subjects? No, I can't see any hands. So I will do the recommendations. Recommendation 1 is that the progress made on delivering the 23-24 capital programme within the remit of the committee be noted in the attached Appendix 1.
Move the recommendations.
Thank you. I'll second. And recommendation 2 is that the use of delegated authority within the remit of the committee, summarised in paragraph 2.8 and detailed in the report at paragraph 2.63, be noted.
Again, move the recommendation.
Second, thank you. And recommendation 3, that the use of emergency powers within the remit of the committee, detailed in Appendix 1 to the report, be noted.
Again, move the recommendation.
Thank you. Second. And 4, that the changes to the 23-24 capital programme and future years capital programme within the remit of the committee, summarised in paragraph 2.3 to 2.7 and detailed within the body of the report from 2.16, be noted.
Again, move the recommendation.
Thank you. Second. Thank you very much, Gemma. Moving on to agenda item 7, which is support for unpaid carers in the Vale of Glamorgan, and I believe that is Natasha Jones. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take us through the 2023 unpaid carers update. You all have had a chance to view this report. This is just to outline some of the developments, some of the supports and some of the ongoing challenges potentially in terms of our unpaid carers delivery, and to highlight some of the supports and detail around young carers as well.
So I've provided an overview in terms of a national picture from some reports in terms of state of caring, which provides some of the highlights in terms of what unpaid carers are saying themselves in terms of some of the challenges that they've been experiencing during 2023. There are some activities documented in terms of supporting unpaid carers, and some of the work that's happening within our regional unpaid carers board. We talked last year in terms of the Carers Charter that was launched, and I think that was just before 2022 report, and in terms of the ongoing commitments that we all have in terms of that service and support. We continue to have a Carers Gateway, and that's an information advice service. It's a regional service that provides information and advice for carers in real time that can signpost in terms of access to relevant welfare rights information. It can be some social leisure activities. There's a whole range of information and advice that service provides, and this report provides some detail about that. Reference again to the Regional Unpaid Carers Charter, which we've shared previously. And in terms of the focus regionally around our young carers and some of the supports and developments that are taking place. In terms of additional, on a national footing, we have a Cardiff Vale Carers Assembly, which is a new development this year, and that is being promoted through the Regional Partnership Board and is run by unpaid carers who are looking to provide advocacy and a voice for carers and to shape policy and provision. The Vale of Glamorgan Carers Unpaid Carers Services team, I've detailed here just in terms of what that team is seeking to do. They're a relatively new team that have an overview in terms of across social services, in terms of our offer, our support, development, and also promoting activities such as Young Carers Week, Carers Rights Days, to ensure that there's visibility, awareness, recognition, and service development. There's some details here around in terms of assessment. So as we know, there is a statutory right to assessment, and there's some information in this report around that for unpaid carers, parent carers, and young carers. In terms of some of our development work and some actions that we've taken away from external inspection, there was some areas of development for us in terms of how we record our information, and that's part of an ongoing action plan that we have this year. And then just highlighting some of the activities that have taken place through the year, and the Connect Over Coffee, which took place that happened in March of last year, and a similar event has taken place this year in Barry Memorial Hall. So this report gives you some feedback as well in terms of case study feedback and what unpaid carers themselves are saying about the support that they've experienced and some of what success looks like, because I think that's something that we really need to understand. Individual needs are very varied. A one size doesn't fit all, and we need to understand what people need. So what success looks like and impact is part of our reporting mechanisms that we're looking at going forward. And similarly, we've provided some of that information in relation to young carers and the young carer support services. So in terms of just developments that happened post this report being put together, the organisation, the Care Collective, that deliver our Carers Gateway, have indicated that they are experiencing significant financial difficulty, and are in a process of consultation with their staff in terms of next steps for them as an organisation. Obviously, we utilise that service quite significantly in the Vale, and we are in regular communication and correspondence with the Care Collective through our regional arrangements through the regional partnership board. So it's just to be aware of that, really, but that's all the information we have about that at the moment.
Thank you, Natasha. A very good report and very well presented here. I think that in recent years we've come a long, long way with this, and I think the department is to be congratulated on it. And do we have any questions? Councillor Gwyn John, welcome. Can't you? Can you turn your camera on, please, Gwyn? Oh, he's gone. Are you coming back in, Gwyn? Bringing in Neil Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the report. It's great. I've been watching, as you'll be aware, probably. I've been on this committee for a very long time, and I've been watching the development in our engagement with unpaid carers. They're a vitally important cohort to Britain. The amount of work they do and the amount of pressure they take off social services in other ways more than outweighs the support we give them. And I'm pleased to see the progress, pleased to see the amount of work that's going on, particularly with young carers, because they have been a neglected area in the past simply because they weren't seen very clearly. But that perspective on them now is becoming clearer and sharper, and we are seeing them more, we are engaging with them more, and that too is pleasing. So yes, thank you for the report, and forward to the future.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Councillor Christine Cave.
Yes, just a quick question, Chair. I just wondered, as a scrutiny committee, how we could help you. Is there anything that you think we could do as a committee to aid your work, which obviously unpaid care is a very important issue, and we'd like to know if there's anything we can do to support you.
Thank you. I think in terms of just the acknowledgement that the demand from a statutory perspective, so for assessment and for ongoing care and support, that it far exceeds what we're able to deliver. So we do need to draw on other areas of support. There are things that take place, so with our leisure colleagues, so access to, there was Active April, some of those things actually can bridge a gap sometimes, can't they? So where there are opportunities to look, how can these meet the needs of unpaid carers, or does that take account of those things? I think that's how you could support, you know, to always have that consideration of how does this assist, or is there opportunity to develop for unpaid carers services?
Yes, thank you. I think we've all got our finger in many pies, and I'm sure we can put that information out, and hopefully people will come forward who are able to help and progress with what you need. Thank you very much. Anybody else? No? Thank you very much, Natasha. We have 4 recommendations. Recommendation 1, that the Scrutiny Committee considers the annual report for unpaid carers and the work undertaken to recognise and support unpaid carers in the Vale of Glamorgan. The link is here.
Move for recommendations.
Thank you. Second. Recommendation 2, that Scrutiny considers the duties of the Council and its partners regarding delivering services for unpaid carers within the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2014.
Again, move the recommendation.
Second, thank you. And the recommendation 3, that Scrutiny considers how the Council and its partners are meeting the ministerial priorities for unpaid carers and the regional work of the Cardiff and Vale of Glamorgan Unpaid Carers Board.
Move it.
Second. Recommendation 4, that Scrutiny receives a report on support for unpaid carers in the Vale of Glamorgan on an annual basis.
Yeah, move that again.
Yeah, definitely. Move. Second. Thank you. Which takes us on to agenda item 8, which was what the pre-meeting dealt with from Tom earlier on. And it is the service plans and target settings to deliver the Vale of Glamorgan Council's annual delivery plan 24-25. Lance, you're up.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to try not to repeat what Tom told everyone earlier, but the service plan the service plans are really important for us because they enable us to comply with the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act and the Local Government Elections Act, and ultimately how we deliver the council's annual delivery plan, what resources we use, and they also provide specific responsibility and the timing for all of those actions. Similarly, performance targets are very important and they enable you to challenge our performance in an informed way. And I suppose this evening really is an opportunity for you to see if they are the right plans and the right measures. The service plan activities are all in Appendix A. The performance measures and targets, the new measures, and those we propose to delete are all in Appendix B. I would love to go through them and list them, but I would be here most of the evening, so you probably don't want me to do that. I think it's probably better that we're here to answer any questions that you may have on any of the actions or measures.
Does anybody have any recommendations? Oh, sorry, any questions? No. Anybody got any? Nobody got any other recommendations to add? No. In that case, we have two recommendations in the report. Recommendation 1 is that members review and endorse via recommendations to Cabinet the planned service activities for 24-25 as they relate to the remit of this committee in Appendix A.
Move that.
Second, thank you. And second recommendation is that members review and endorse via recommendation to Cabinet the proposed measures and service performance targets for 24-25 relating to the remit of the committee, Appendix 8.
I assume from no comment that that's all been accepted, so move that.
Second, thank you. Which takes us on to agenda item 9. There again, the annual delivery plan monitoring report, quarter 3 performance 23-24. And members are reminded to inform the Democratic, forget that bit. Just the annual delivery plan monitoring report, quarter 3 performance 23-24. Lance?
And again, I will probably be quite brief because this is a format of report that committee members are used to seeing. I think helpfully there's a set of slides towards the end which really give that update in a fairly accessible format, I would hope, for committee members and relevant to the work of this committee. There are a number of things within that, and I have to be careful which ones I pick out in case some of my colleagues feel left out, but there are some really good things in there that I think we've managed to achieve over the last quarter. Things such as having increased the number of adult placement hosts, that's people who help and support our predominantly adults with learning disabilities. I'm sure you'll have also seen the delivery of the Christmas presents from the Santa Claus and the Big Wrap. There's loads of stuff in here, and I've just pulled 2 out at random, really, because I think if I leave anybody out, they'll get annoyed with me if I start to do any more. But yeah, some really, really good and positive work's happened over the last quarter, and obviously myself and my colleague heads of service are here to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Lance. Any questions out there? Anybody at all? Anybody got any specific recommendations they'd like to make? No, in that case, can we note recommendation 1 that members consider performance results and progress towards achieving the annual delivery plan 23-24 commitments as aligned to our corporate plan wellbeing objectives within the remit of the committee. Councillor Neil Thomas.
Move your note.
Thank you. A second. And can we note recommendation 2 in that case then, that members consider the remedial actions to be taken to address areas of underperformance and to tackle the key challenges identified within the remit of the committee, with their views and recommendations referred thereafter to Cabinet for their consideration and approval.
Again, given no comment, move your note.
Thank you. Second. which moves us on. I'd like to thank everybody very much for their attendance this evening. And agenda item 10, any items which the chair has decided are urgent. I don't have any, you'll be pleased to know. And agenda item 11, same. I have nothing under urgent items part 2 to add. And just to let you know that the date of the next meeting is the 9th of April. So I'd like to wish you all a happy Easter and see you all soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.